Did you know that Africa is home to some of the oldest civilizations on Earth, predating even Rome and Greece? This is not just one story, but many, interwoven across a vast continent over millennia. We are about to embark on a journey through time, exploring the major milestones in African history using a unique visual format. We'll start in the ancient Nile Valley, the cradle of one of the world's first great civilizations. Around 3100 BC, Upper and Lower Egypt were unified, marking the beginning of the dynastic period. Imagine the scale of this achievement, the coordination required to build a state that would endure for thousands of years. Nama, sometimes referred to as Menes, is credited with this unification, establishing Memphis as the early capital. Centuries passed, and the Egyptian kingdom evolved. Around 2055 BC, the 11th dynasty, based in Thebes, ushered in the Middle Kingdom. The 12th dynasty further expanded Egypt's influence, pushing south into Lower Nubia. But power is never permanent. Around 1700 BC, the Middle Kingdom fractured, leaving Lower Egypt vulnerable to the Hyksos, while the Kingdom of Kama in Nubia expanded, challenging Egyptian dominance. Then, around 1550 BC, a new power rose. The 18th dynasty expelled the Hyksos and established the New Kingdom, an imperial era that projected Egyptian power and influence across the region. Fast forward to 146 BC. Carthage, a major North African maritime and trade center, was destroyed by Rome after the Third Punic War. It's a common misconception to view Carthage merely as a Roman adversary. In reality, it was a sophisticated urban center with a long history of trade and cultural exchange. Now, let's shift our focus westward, to the rise of Islam in the 7th century CE and beyond. Islam spread rapidly across North Africa and into the Sahel, transforming trade routes, promoting literacy, and reshaping the political landscape. New empires emerged, built on trade and faith. From the 8th to the 13th centuries CE, the Ghana Empire flourished in the Western Sahel, controlling vital trans-Saharan trade routes. Then, in the 13th century, the Mali Empire was established. Sundiata Keita is remembered as the empire's key founder, his legacy enshrined in oral tradition. Under Mansa Musa, from 1312 to 1337, Mali reached its zenith, becoming internationally renowned. His pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324 is one of the most famous events in African history, showcasing the empire's wealth and influence. By the 15th century, a new power arose, the Songhai Empire. From the 1430s to 1591, it became the largest state in West African history. But its reign was not to last. The Moroccan invasion of 1591, marked by the Battle of Tondebay, brought the Songhai Empire to an end, a stark reminder of the impact of gunpowder technology. Meanwhile, European powers began to explore the African coast. In 1488, Bartholomew Dias rounded the southern tip of Africa, opening new sea routes to the east. In 1497, Vasco da Gama reached the Natal coast, continuing his voyage to India. These expeditions marked the beginning of a new era, one of increasing European involvement in Africa. The Dutch established the Cape Colony at Table Bay in 1652, setting the stage for a long and complex history of European settlement in southern Africa. The British seized the Cape Colony from the Dutch in 1795, returned it in 1803, and reoccupied it in 1806, highlighting the strategic importance of this region. In the early 19th century, southern Africa was transformed by the rise of the Zulu Kingdom. From 1816 to 1828, Shaka Zulu built a powerful military state that reshaped the region's political landscape. The Great Trek, from 1835 to 1840, saw Boer settlers move inland, establishing the Orange Free State and Transvaal, leading to conflict with both the British and African populations. The discovery of diamonds at Kimberley in 1867 further intensified the competition for resources and power in southern Africa. Britain annexed the Transvaal in 1877, leading to the First Anglo-Boer War from 1880 to 1881, which ended in a negotiated peace. The Zulu kingdom was defeated by British forces in the Anglo-Zulu War of 1879, marking the end of Zulu independence. The Berlin Conference of 1884 to 1885 formalized the European partition of Africa, accelerating the scramble for Africa. It's crucial to understand that the Berlin Conference didn't simply draw borders on a map. It legitimized a process of European powers claiming territory based on diplomatic rules that disregarded existing African polities and sovereignty. By 1914, on the eve of World War I, most of Africa was under European colonial rule. The main exceptions were Ethiopia and Liberia, while South Africa, Egypt, and Liberia were already sovereign in different legal forms. It's important to remember that 1914 isn't a definitive endpoint for conquest. In several regions, colonial conquest and coercive rule continued long after the formal scramble era. In South Africa, the National Party came to power in 1948, entrenching apartheid, one of the most durable and globally visible racial regimes of the 20th century. The post-war wave of independence began in 1951 with Libya. In 1952, the Free Officers Movement in Egypt ended the monarchy and reshaped the state, inspiring anti-colonial movements across Africa and the Arab world. 1960 was a watershed year, the Year of Africa, which saw 17 African states gain independence. This was not just symbolic, it was one of the fastest single-year waves of state creation in world history. The Organization of African Unity was founded in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, in 1963, promoting continental solidarity and decolonization. It later became the African Union in 2002. Namibia's independence in 1990 marked the end of formal European colonization in Africa, though its path to freedom was long and arduous, involving the Southwest Africa People's Organization and regional Cold War politics. South Africa's first democratic elections in 1994 ended white minority rule and apartheid, a victory for justice and equality. More recently, South Sudan became independent in 2011 after a long civil war, highlighting both the continuing force of self-determination and the challenges of post-colonial state building. In the 2010s, Boko Haram escalated mass violence and kidnappings in northeastern Nigeria, demonstrating the ongoing security challenges facing many African nations. This timeline demonstrates that African history is not just a sequence of events. It is a complex interplay of state formation, trade, religion, conquest, colonization, resistance, then decolonization, shaped by both internal dynamics and external forces. Understanding this history is crucial to understanding the Africa of today.